seed. How difficult is that to do?
Yeah, it's very difficult. What we went through last year, that was our goal, to put ourselves right back in the same position we were last year, then obviously, play better and win games. But, real tribute to our guys, undefeated for the third season, non-conference, then to win our league by 3 games in back-to-back seasons is pretty impressive. So just, proud of our players, but this is what, when you face adversity, like this is what, you look at it and you deal with it, you keep working, but you don't start as a #1 seed the next year. You got to earn it again, and our guys have earned it.
Do you have a different message to these guys knowing what's ahead?
Not really. You're preparing last year just like you would prepare, right now. You got to do a better job. For us in execution, you got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball, just like our last loss. Like when you turn the basketball over too much, you're going to put yourself in a tough spot. So for us, it's the functionality of the game. Like take care of the basketball, keep giving yourself a crack at it. And even when we miss shots, we're such a good offensive rebounding team. We're still doing some productive things, and we're setting our defense.
Do you know anything about Grambling or Montana State?
I do not. We're collecting information right now.
Did this feel different coming down the stretch this year? Because you were 4-4, I think, in your last season.
Yeah, it feels different because we have better shooters.
Mm-hmm.
We've made more shots. That's what the ball goes in more. That's what feels different about it. I think that confidence, just like in our last game that we had lost, we had some real breakdowns from a defensive standpoint, but you get in that last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and Gillis nails a 3. Lawyer nails a 3, and you just, you have confidence that you're going to be able to do that. We just didn't play well enough on the defensive end, and we turned the basketball over more. But I think that's the real separation for this team. We're the second best 3-point shooting team in the country, and that just gives us such a balance with Zach.
How much of a difference is that having sophomore guards as opposed to freshman guards that maybe have been through this?
Yeah, I think both of those guys. I think, you saw the way Fletcher shot the ball to finish the year. You see, his body of work. He had 27 against Arizona, he had 27 against Tennessee. Braden's first team all-league, one of the best, guards, if not point guard, in the country. And so those guys have made some huge strides for us on both ends.
Have you had a chance to look at the Midwest bracket at all with Tennessee, Kansas, Gonzaga? There's some other competition in the Midwest.
I have not.
Matt, obviously when you get in this situation that you had last year, you can run from it or you can embrace it. And I think you guys said, okay, let's rally around this and try to get back there.
Yeah, we've embraced it for 12 months. Like this isn't something that just, you wait to the next bracket or whatever. You got to earn your way in it, but you also got to, you got to sit in it. And a lot of times that's the best medicine, is to be able to sit in that adversity. But you can't fix something if you don't own it. And I think from a staff standpoint, we own it and our players own it. And that's the best way to go about it, and then do something about it. And we have fought like hell to get in this position, and now we know we have to play better, we got to coach better, we got to execute better.
There's always talk last few years of expanding this tournament
Right.
to a higher number. Where do you come down on that? And
Yeah.
Is there a right answer for what's going to
Yeah,
potentially happen here?
There's a lot of people that pushed back a long time ago about the 3-point line, said it was going to ruin it. Obviously, when you look at things of that nature, when you have drastic change, it's a lot of people, are going to be for something like that, be against something like that. I don't think there's anything broken. There's always going to be a line. Even if you add teams, there's always going to be a line where there's 3 or 4 or 5 people. I think this was the hardest year. There's no question, for them to select. I think there's always a team or two that, they could have went either way, right? I think there was a handful of teams this year where they could have went away. So I think it's going to pick up. I think the conversation will pick up steam. They got to be able to functionally do it through the weekends, through TV. They always back it up past the Masters and then push the season back that way. Sometimes that's how, when you do scheduling, it can get to where you have more space to schedule games non-conference. A lot of people don't realize that because, you do your non-conference schedule and your conference schedule gets set for you. So you got to be able to work through and work around that, even though they don't always collide. But we have the 2 games in December that do. But I just don't think they'll do that at the end of the day. It's just too good of, it's just a special, sporting event, and why mess with it? Why risk, watering it down a little bit? But I do feel bad for like Indiana State. Like, I think they deserve to be in the tournament. I don't think it's fair. I scheduled at that level, and it's very difficult to schedule. It's very difficult to get people to come to your place and play you, that teams that are consistently gonna, be in the NCAA tournament. I think one of the things that they've picked up is the intent to schedule, because now, like, you could look at a team like they're a last place team and they could be the second best team in their league. Then you could look at a team that, was in the top 3 of their league for 3 years, then all of a sudden they're the last place team, just because you can lose players. And then, like, when you go in the portal and you take a bunch of guys, now you might have a lot of talent, but they might not be good together. There's just so many different scenarios where it's just hard to guesstimate, who's going to be what. So it's really hard for teams, period, but it's definitely hard for low to mid majors.
Some satisfaction with your non-conference schedule. Sanford, Morehead State, both made it.
Right.
You feel like what you put together in that non-conference.
Yeah, and but there's risk to that too.
Right.
Even though we beat both teams by a considerable amount, a lot of teams, they get worried about that because, now you bring a team in like that and then they beat you. I don't look at it that way. Obviously, we have a great advantage, I think, in Mackey Arena. Obviously, we're not going there to play them, right? But I just think our neutral wins, our Tennessee, our Marquette, our Arizona, our Alabama, I'm missing one, Gonzaga. Those are the games you're going to play in a neutral setting, even though it is different, right? Playing in Toronto or Indianapolis or Hawaii. But, you just try your best to set things up. We like warm weather, but we also like competition. So.
I'm an advocate for playing non-conference games in Indianapolis. Playing NCAA tournament games in Indianapolis, you're going to have a really huge following. So how much of an advantage is that?
Yeah, well, you earn that. You want to, stay there. Obviously, Houston stays in the South. UConn gets in the East. North Carolina's got to go out to the West as the 4th number 1. So, like, no matter if we were, the first one or the second one or the third, I think we ended up the 3rd, number 1. You want to be in your area. You want to be in the Midwest, but just go out there and play. It's pretty cool to be able to be in Indianapolis as a 1 seed, but go out there and play well.
I want to ask about Braden. I know you sort of touched on just how he's grown. How vital is he to this team's success, and how different is he from last year?
Yeah, he makes us go. Like, he's such a facilitator. He's a guy that can, make shots, make plays, gets the ball where it needs to be. Just a very heady, cerebral player. Rebounds the basketball. He's a better defender than he was last year, but, just a really good overall guard.
Matt, when you talk to the guys about the Europe trip, they mention off-court bonding and getting closer as a team. Yep. How does that just carry through a long season to make them better?
Yeah, because it gets long. We've tried to take more days off here. The schedule allowed us to do that, in February and March, and just trying to keep everybody's legs, but also be fresh. But yeah, an overseas trip, is great for the guys. People don't realize it's tough to play good teams at that time of the year. So it's more of a bonding and educational trip for those guys. But I think that's definitely good for, like, Lance and Miles, the guys that are getting adjusted. Cam was with us, before, but, just to be able to get out there and get playing with your teammates. And obviously it was good for us to play without Zach. It just, you're going to get into some times, through foul trouble. We had it happen the other day against Wisconsin. I thought we did a good job with him out of the game, but obviously we prefer to play with him. But yeah, I thought that was a good experience for everybody.
Kind of speaking on that, it seems like you guys have been in a lot of double technicals in the last few weeks. What do you see going on, or what's your message to your guys happening?
Just shut up. Just play the game. I always tell them to keep their mouth shut and carry a big stick. And like, you don't have to tell somebody you're a good player. And somebody says something, you don't have to respond to them. Like, no one's going to fight out there. Like, every now and then somebody does something crazy, but for the most part, like, you don't have to say something back. It's just, have some resolve to you, understand the big picture, stay in the game. But we've had it happen with, 3 or 4 guys. We've addressed it each time, but, it gets the best of them. And it's an easy way out for the officials. They just offset the technicals. They don't have to shoot them. They each get one. And then, you don't get anywhere besides, you get another foul. Then that puts Zach on the bench. And, it's just something you can't do.
Lance said he tries to not get too emotional during the selection show. What do you say to guys like him and Miles who are entering their first NCAA tournament?
Yeah, take good shots and guard your man. You know what I mean? It's not Six Flags. Let's have some fun here, but if you play well, you're going to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, do your job. Like, learn to understand that piece of it. Like, don't be emotional. Don't play hero ball. Just play the game the way you've played the whole season, and just take what the defense gives you.
Western Kentucky gets in, you got to be happy for Coach Lutz.
Yeah, I texted him, and he texted back. I actually talked to him, so you know what he's been able to accomplish at a low major school and go twice, and now get into a mid major, probably a little higher, and go right away. It's pretty amazing because that's really hard to do. So I text Brandon too, and congratulated him. He hasn't texted me back though.
How have you evolved back when you did this with Southern Illinois the first time as a head coach to now? The game's changed a lot, obviously, but when you evolve as a coach, you fall behind pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's for us it was difficult because I was an assistant there in the last 2 years. We went to the tournament, and then my 1 year as a head coach, so 3 years in a row we went. But we were at larges every time. We never won the conference tournament, and so you're sitting there on the pins and needles, and you're unless you get called early. Like you're just waiting. We got in the 8-9 game the year I was there. We had a really good defensive team, very good defense, even though we led the league in scoring. But we played a lot off of our defense. So we got beat on a buzzer beater by Alabama in the 8-9 game. But we were really looking forward to playing Stanford, who Alabama ended up beating in that second round. But no, it was exciting. It's exciting to be able to, just be in that room and now you see those people cheering and stuff. Like we get selected, and our guys don't even get excited. You want them to have, as a little kid, right? This is what you watch, and so have that kind of that passion and be ready to play and be ready to compete. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be that way. You just can't be that way. Like when the games come, you got to understand, what your job is and go out there and have fun.
How do you find that balance where it is a business trip? But
right.
Like you said, you also
that's kind of our mantra. Make your hard work fun. You got to have fun. I think that's one of the things that Lance has really helped us with. Like when he's out there and he's got a smile on his face and you're competing and everybody's having fun and pulling for each other. It makes it a whole lot easier.
You talked about that in September about wanting to keep the joy in the game during the regular season so that it didn't kind of overwhelm them. How have you guys been able to do that this year, and how difficult has that task been?
Yeah, I think just the functionality of the game more than anything. I think you see how we play and how we play through Braden and how we play through Zach, and then we really play off of those guys. When guys just play to their strengths and take what the defense gives them, and then do their job on the defensive end, success is fun. And just kind of stay with it. Sometimes after you get some streaks, and we've had different streaks this year where we've won 6-7 games, I think 4 or 5 different times. You can't get caught up in wanting to win a different way, right? You got to play to the strengths of your players, and when we do that, we've been pretty consistent. We've been pretty successful.
Speaking of that Big Ten tournament, you had some high leverage minutes without Braden and Zach on the floor. Right. What lessons are there for them to learn?
Yeah, just you can't just try to maintain it, right? You got to play to your strengths, and some of your main strengths are out of the game at that time. So being simple and giving yourself a chance and just executing what we call, because when you do that and you take good shots, now you're going to be better defensively and just setting your defense. And that's a big thing for us. I say it a lot. Obviously, just no live ball turnovers. Get good shots, set your defense, make people play. When we made Michigan State play in the half court, we had a lot of success, but they're getting, multiple offensive rebounds. They were scoring in transition, and that's what you got to be able to stop. But that's also part of basketball. If you don't steal points on the glass, you don't steal points in transition, you're just making it too hard on yourself.
Thank you guys.